Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity for us to present our research papers entitled Logical Fallacies in Social Media, a discourse analysis in political debate. Well, actually that we are really interested into looking at the logical fallacies in the social media, more specifically in the context of the political debate. Yeah, seen from one of the prominent TV shows in Indonesia. So we are going to have a look at the logical fallacies made by the politician and then try to relate that in the field of the discourse analysis, which is very important for us in doing the second in the language research. Okay, in light of the growth of social media, information is now available and accessible. And our research is looking at the fallacy taxonomy, fallacious arguments, which are identified from a transcribed political debate among Indonesian political figures in a forum of discussion, Indonesia Lawyers Club. So Indonesia Lawyers Club, as we all know, is one of the prominent TV show in Indonesia that basically they invited guests to discuss about certain and hot issues currently happening in Indonesia. Now, social media becomes everyone's favorite because they allow information to be readily available and then accessible. And the social media platform will enable users to connect and share their thought with other people, exchange idea, and convey persuasive idea. So we're looking at the logical fallacies made by the politicians, especially on that TV shows. In short, logical fallacies is errors in reasoning that invalidate the arguments. Yeah, fallacies are errors in reasoning, whether deliberate or inadvertent, that weaken an argument and the quality of statements contained in the argument. Fallacious arguments seems dishonest whether or not the writer intends them to be. Now, what we are going to see is the political posts on social media. There are so many political posts on social media, but on this occasion, we are researching about the fallacious statements made in the TV show, mostly on the political debate. And as a starting point, yeah, political debates, according to Zhu, yeah, he made a very strong argument there that it's simply misleading because they use personal attack, inflammatory language, and emotional demagoguery, which do not belong to a democratic country. Now, if we have a look at this, we have provided one sample of the logical fallacy in the political debate. As you can see on the slide, it says the anti-smoking views expressed by Senator Smith should be ignored. After all, Smith himself is a smoker. Now, this example tells us that the person tries to attack the opponent's characters instead of the arguments. So the person tries to attack Smith's personality or the character instead of attacking the views regarding the anti-smoking. So this is one of the quite often logical fallacies happening in the political debate, in which that one person attacks the opponents not on the views or the arguments, but rather on the characters of the opponent. And our research objective is to share a brief overview of logical fallacies encountered in social media, and then we are going to reasonably evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of arguments by employing fallacy taxonomy. Now, on the paper, we have listed and then we have made some kind of like literature review regarding the fallacy taxonomy, and basically it refers to two proponents who are Hatch, and then also the second one is by Mayfield. Now, the transcribed debate of the Indonesian political figures involved in the data collection was analyzed in terms of the presence of logical fallacies. So we don't look at all on the stance toward the issue of or the overall discussions. So what we are researching is about in terms of the language and then the presence of the logical fallacies. So we do not discuss the stance of the speakers or the politicians toward the issue or the overall discussion. And it's going to be quite significant considering that soon Indonesia will have the regional election, despite the fact that the corona pandemic is still striking Indonesia. But it has been made some kind of like agreed that the regional election will not be postponed and subject to be done at the end of the year. Now we are expecting that the logical fallacies will be everywhere in this election season. So it's going to be interesting to have a look at our research to match between what will happen in the logical policies made by the politician. Now the literature review has tried to find the gap that need to be addressed. Yeah, in the previous research, no further explanation was given to justify or spot whether words, phrases, or sentences contain the logical fallacies. So, because we are from the looking from the linguistics perspective, so we're going to see on how the language is used in the fallacious arguments. And some of the previous research have been done. Now, existing study has examined type of fallacies from political debate in the period of American political history. The study specifically addresses a new type of logical fallacies named adsocordion on an argument in a political debate. Now, another current study concerning the problems of education in the 21st century suggests that one of the prescribed standards of a correct argumentation is a non fallacious or good reasoning. Now, despite the fact that the above mentioned studies has a similarity in which the studies rely on the researcher's judgment when identifying and classifying the fallacies within a political discourse, however, we argued that to the best of our knowledge, not much existing studies up to now have addressed the logical fallacy within the Indonesian political setting. Now, because of this is still scarcely explored, so we are going to have a look at this one. Now, so to fill in the gap, the present study, our study aims at addressing the logical fallacies committed by Indonesian political figure with brief explanation on how to spot and justify whether words, phrases, and sentences contain fallacious arguments. More specifically, looking at the taxonomy of the fallacies made by Mayfield. And for the next presentation, I'm going to hand in to our colleague. Thank you.
For the research design and methodology, it is a descriptive qualitative research, and the source of the data is a transcript video of political debate, Apa dan Siapa yang Radikal from ILC Forum. ILC is Indonesia Lawyers Club. It is a forum of discussions which is available on YouTube. And data are in the forms of words, phrases, or sentences. And for the research instrumentations, we employ a fallacy taxonomy by Mayfield. And for the durations of the video, it is about 10 minutes. The video was then transcribed and also translated. The arguments from the transcript video was collected, marked, and then underlined using the conceptual framework of logical fallacy by Mayfield. For the findings, there are 4 logical fallacies: 1 by manipulating through language, 2 by manipulating through emotion appeal or fear, 3 by manipulating through distractions, red herrings, and the last one is inductive fallacy through fallacy inconsistency and contradictions. We go to the first one. So in this kind of fallacy, the politicians use emotive language, for example, like in this case, something which is not fashionable. So it belongs to the manipulating the language because the choice of the words that she used. Number two, emotional appeal of fear. So in this case, the politicians try to raise the emotion of fear among the audiences by saying that those who are served are also afraid. Number three, distraction red herrings. This is a fallacy of distractions, which is related to something which is not relevant. So in this case, the politician tried to divert the attention away by saying another issues. And number four is true fallacy, inconsistency, and contradictions. So in this fallacy, she used one claims that contradict to one another. So the first one she said that there are two rules that we have to follow. We cannot choose one of the two. But at the end, she said that we are able to choose one to another. Discussions of the study. The literature suggests that fallacies are errors in reasoning which can be used to deceive because they have a psychological dimension in the pattern of illusions and deceptions. Fallacies are reported to be tactics that people usually include in their arguments while having a debate with others. In this case, when people use fallacies, they are not related to the content of their speech, but to the methods that they use to argue. And the mistakes in reasoning are reported whether it is intentional or unintentional. It is intentional when the speaker realizes that they use logical fallacies, and it is unintentional when the speaker they don't realize that they use logical fallacies, or they don't realize that the sentence or the statements they are saying it contains logical fallacies. Unfortunately, the study didn't go any further to identify whether the mistakes committed by the politicians in reasoning were committed in intentional or unintentional way. So it brings me to a conclusion that logical fallacies often reside in the strategies people use while arguing. And this is in a similar vein with the results of this present study that the Indonesian's political figure seemed leading on the audience by using logical fallacies in her arguments as methods that she used to argue. And Indonesian political figures still committed logical fallacy, and the mistakes in reasoning committed may be intentional or unintentional. Fallacy taxonomy is very useful in helping to learn about the concept of fallacy and to avoid making fallacious reasoning in the argument. For further research, to understand whether the mistakes are linked to the psychological dimension, further studies are of course needed to reveal the findings in a more depth study. And different results may come from more time allocated for the durations of the video, because in this research, the video was about only 10 minutes. That, ladies and gentlemen, was what I wanted to share with you. Thank you.